Welcome, everyone. My name is Shawn Jones, and I'm the CEO of the iNetrepreneur Network. And I have with me today a very dynamic, interesting individual who has had a wide span career. He is guaranteed to make us laugh at least 5 times during today's interview. I
No
have with me
pressure. No
John,
pressure.
no pressure. I have with me John Verrico. John, welcome.
Hi there, Shawn. How are you?
I am doing great. I will be honest, I can always listen to you talk. If that's all you did and I didn't have to say one word, you just have the right voice. It is perfect.
Oh, well, thank you. I just, basically, you're just saying in nice ways that I talk and run on sentences.
I don't think so. John, you're here today because we are going to get to know each other. Well, I know you, but our audience doesn't. And as you know, I love to get to know the person behind whatever business shield that we're wearing. So tell us a little bit insight. Who is John? How did you get to where you're at today?
Shawn, it's interesting. I come from a background of being that little kid in school that was picked on by the bullies. I was only 5'3", weighed 110 pounds when I graduated from high school at the age of 18. So I was, which is people are surprised. People who know me now are surprised to know that I was a shy kid. I was an extrovert that was trapped in an introvert's body because I was afraid to draw attention to myself.
Mhm.
And as I got older and started learning about life, I joined the Navy. I was in the Navy for 25 years as a Navy journalist. And as I got into all those kinds of positions, I really felt and looked back and said, I don't want people to feel the way I was made to feel when I was younger. And
Mhm.
so everything that I've done throughout my career has been to help people feel better about themselves and to just do better and to just have better relationships. We've all worked for bosses that were really nasty or had coworkers that were really nasty. And we've also had those that were really excellent and supportive. And
Mhm.
so I just chose to learn from those that were excellent and supportive and learn also from those that were horrible and figure out which things they should and shouldn't do. And I knew who I worked harder for and who I wanted to work harder for and who made me feel better about what I did. And that's the kind of behaviors that I tried to emulate. And that's how I ultimately got into the field that I'm in now, where I'm a speaker and a coach in leadership and communication.
That is beautiful. And through your business, Share Your Fire, you really are helping people dig within themselves and bring out to the surface what they are truly meant to be and do. Share with us about your company. You talk about leadership, but what does that really mean for what you're doing?
Everything goes back to relationships as the ultimate foundation, right? You can't do anything by yourself. I don't care who you are or who you think you are or any of that kind of stuff. You could be the CEO of the world. You can't do a thing without all of the other people doing those other important tasks. And if they're not successful, you can't be successful. And so that's understanding that we are all on this planet and we all have something to contribute and we're all kind of moving in the same direction. Why not work together? Why not treat other people with the respect that they deserve? I've said this before and I'll say it again. I treat a trash collector like a CEO, but I treat a CEO like a janitor too. So, it's an even balance. And it's really just understanding how those relationships work and how we can look at another individual and look for not the differences between us, not the changes in our skin or our gender or our size or age or the heck with the differences. Look for what we have in common. Let's find those things that make us one. We may both
Yeah.
like the same sports team, come from the same town, went to the same school, hated the same teacher, whatever. I bet there's something we have in common with every individual on this planet. And now,
Mhm.
once we find those commonalities and can connect people together, then we look for those differences that make them special.
Hmm.
And we want to bring
Absolutely.
those people into our fold so that we can learn from them. We can grow with them. We can utilize those skills, those talents, and bring that diverse perception and perspective into whatever it is that we're doing.
Hmm.
And so all of that, and you see, I told you I was long winded, all of that basically comes from how we treat each other. And so I use an acronym of the elements that we need to keep ourselves motivated, as well as to keep as others around us to stay motivated and to keep that inner fire burning. And that's trust, opportunity, respect, communication, and humanity. And when you have those things, trust, opportunity, respect, communication, humanity, that is an acronym, TORCH, which is that inner fire that I make reference to. That's what keeps our torch burning.
I I love one. I mean, they're all those components truly do fit together. You can't have one without the other because then that will create a disconnect, whether with yourself, with those around you, and even with those that you hope to connect with. You have to have that direct connection between all of those. Communication, to me, that is number one. If you cannot effectively communicate. And speaking is not communication per se, because you may be thinking one thing and trying to get the words out, but if they're not there, you're kind of missing. But communication is so crucial in any relationship. And sometimes you have to go back in for a clarity under that communication because, again, we're all different. We come from different backgrounds, different perspectives, different ideals that come to the forefront. And it sounds like with when you work with your clients, you're bringing all that torch together for them.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole concept is how to communicate in a way that builds trust, that shows respect, that treats other people with humanity, and that provides them the opportunity to feel as if they matter.
Mhm.
And in the long run, when it comes down to it, Sean, in the end, all we really care about, all we really want is to feel like we matter.
Everybody wants that. I mean, even our kids want it. They just want to feel like they matter. Now, John, you've worked with a lot of different clients, different capacities. You have a lot of success stories, but I know, like myself, you have a few clients that really stick out. Would you share one of your client stories that still to this day just touches your heart because you got to see them and the improvement that they achieved by working with you?
Oh wow, there you're right. There are so many little bits and pieces and nuggets. And so I'll just throw out one. There was a young girl who actually came to me as an intern. And, just right there when she came in as an intern, basically under the auspices of I know nothing and I need to learn, I gave her, some responsibilities and some things to try on her own, gave her some outlines and guidance, and we chatted, and she came to me with stuff, and we worked together on a few areas where she needed a little bit of development. But the thing was that I watched her blossom. And when she first came in as an intern, some of the other people in the office that we were working in at the time, and this is before I was working on my own, were treating her like an intern. In other words, make coffee, do the filing, shred these documents, that kind of stuff. And I said to her, "So, what are you going to school for? What are the topics you're studying? How can we now apply those to a way that you can build on those things?" So she is well, she's now progressed from there, but she was working with ABC World News Tonight and NBC News, and she went on to be a correspondent, and she was in front of the camera quite often. And I was just so proud to watch her grow from this shy little intern who was forced to make coffee. But it was just because I gave her the opportunity to tell me where it is she wanted to grow, what things she wanted to learn how to do, and then just gave her some assignments to do those things and let her try them out. And took away the most important piece of it is you have to take away that fear of failure. Right? You don't punish people for a mistake. You don't punish people if they don't quite hit that success point. You work with them to help them overcome whatever challenge got them to that stoppage, and then help them to
Mm-hmm.
get to the next level. But I worked with a lot of people over the years. There was one organization it was a research and development organization. I learned a lot working with this place because they would take about 10% of their budget and put it towards projects they were sure were going to fail. Now, that sounds like a waste of money. But at the same time, in research and development, they said, if this works, it'll be phenomenal. It'll be a game changer.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, we'll have learned from it and we can grow from there. And we start off at the high end and we start working our way down to the lowest denominator that will work.
Mm-hmm.
And by saying that and by doing that, you take away the fear of failure, and all of a sudden people are willing to try harder. And how many of those projects actually came to fruition because people were encouraged and motivated to actually make them work? I know I worked throughout my career much harder for those people that made me feel like what I did made a difference and it was okay to take chances.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
but anyway, there's so many clients that I could talk about individually and as organizations that had various kinds of problems. There were motivational challenges. There was morale issues in an organization that was not. The whole office wasn't being treated the way they thought they should be treated. They were being looked at and treated as underlings and service providers to the senior leadership.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, they were legal advisors. And if they
Mm-hmm.
didn't provide the legal advice that the senior leadership expected, it was blown off.
Yeah.
So I worked with them, and we worked on changing their image and how they framed themselves. Instead of calling themselves, "We're here to serve you," it's "We're here to provide expert advice."
Mm-hmm.
And once they started just using that moniker, turned the whole thing around.
Yeah. So you work with a variety of clients. What is an ideal client, though? Somebody who's watching this going, I know I need to have that torch, but I'm not quite sure if I'm a good fit and somebody that you'd work with. What does your ideal client look like?
My ideal client is anyone who is aspiring to improve, which sounds like, wow, that's so general. But a lot of people think, well, you're a leadership coach, so you're working with people who are in leadership positions, aspiring leaders. But you know what? Anyone can have influence on anyone else. And so even though we don't have a titled leadership position, what you do impacts those around you. So really, anyone would be a good fit for this type of a coaching training kind of a program. It's
Mm-hmm.
all about how you have impact to the people around you. And that impact spreads, whether it's in the work environment or the personal environment.
Mm-hmm. It does. And speaking of spreading, you have something new on the horizon. Do you want to share with us about your new show coming up?
I do. I just started, we're just starting and getting ready to launch a brand new podcast with a colleague of mine, Annalisa Landa, in the UK. She's in the United Kingdom. I'm in the United States, and we've united. It's called A Show of Values, and it is all about how our values impact our lives and and influence our decisions. And we're going to be analyzing things that are happening in the news, things that are happening around the world through the values lens, and then also having guests come on board and talk about values and how those values impacted their lives in various ways. So it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
a lot of fun. We're actually looking to show that values is not a boring topic, and we're going to have a lot of fun with it.
That's exciting.
Want to be
And
a guest?
John, I would always accept being a guest. With that being said, John, if somebody would like to talk to you more about the trainings and that you offer, or to even find out how they can be a guest on your show or sponsor, how can somebody get in contact with you?
You know, one thing for sure, Sean, is I'm not hiding. I am out there all over social media. Just look me up by name, John Verrico. But I'm on Facebook as John Verrico Speaks. I'm on LinkedIn as John Verrico. Instagram is John Verrico. On Twitter, I'm Jay Verrico. So you might have to do a little searching on that. But also, we have a show of values. That podcast is on all of the platforms, on YouTube as well. And so you can find me there. My website is probably the easiest, johnverrico.com. And if you want to email me directly, it's john@johnverrico.com. So lots of different ways for them to reach me. One thing to keep in mind is that I don't use a canned program. I don't have like, oh, John, come and give us your talk on this. It's not like I'm just going to come and pull a speech out of my back pocket and talk. Everything I do is very custom for the individual, for the client, for the organization, for the event, for the audience. So I take a lot of back and forth with my clients to find out really what's going on in the organization, what's going on in their lives, and then I tailor a program specifically for them. It's a little bit different than your traditional motivational speaker.
That's wonderful. I love that, John. I am so excited. And I just want to say thank you for all that you're doing to help others around the world. I'm excited also for your new show coming out. So thank you for being here today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute delight.
For those that have just watched, I interviewed John Verrico. He is the owner of Share Your Fire. He also has an upcoming podcast. So if you did not miss it, hit replay and he'll tell you how you can find him. And even maybe you want to hire him to be on your stage. Maybe you want to bring him into your company and help you increase your retention of your employees, build up morale. There are so many different ways to go. So John, thank you again. Also, John is one of the author contributors in the legacy book series, Art of Connection. He was just released in the third book in the series, 365 Days of Transformational Quotes. You can get your copy of the book, read John, see how he's inspiring the world with his words. For more information, if you'd like to also be a contributor in the book, you can visit 365daysofgratitude quotes.com.